If you don't know what a sky factory is, you're in luck. It's a mod pack where you make a factory in the sky. I know, it's pretty mind-blowing. I happen to like both factories and the sky, so it was a pretty good match for me. Meaning I've recently started playing it, and will be documenting that playthrough both by streaming it and then by compiling those streams into shorter videos, much like the one you're currently watching. Wow. Things started off a little bit weird since evidently you roleplay as a dog at the beginning of this pack, which is a fancy way of saying you can't see any colors. Dogs are colorblind, by the way. You kind of gotta have that information in order for the joke to work, so I got you. Anyways, the starting main goal of the pack is to rediscover the colors. You do so by crafting items, discovering items, looking at items. You know, it's pretty straightforward, all things considered. First color I ended up discovering was green when a green apple fell from the starting tree that I was cutting down with my hand. I don't know why, but whenever you discover a new color, the game makes that color really stand out for a few minutes. So be warned, it's going to be very ugly and pretty green for a little while here. I had to suffer through it and I was okay, so I'm pretty confident you will also be alright. My first complaint with the pack is this stupid ass crafting menu that it originally forces you to use. I hate it. You can't put recipes in yourself, you just have to click around on the ones that are available. But thankfully, when you make a crafting station, you can actually go back to the usual method, which I wasn't quite at that point yet, but we'll get there. Another slightly weird element of this pack, which I assume is done this way to force a playstyle that isn't super common, is the exclusion of Tinker's Construct to instead have the player use silent gear. I don't know a whole lot about this mod other than it seems to be tool related. Honestly, I haven't done very much with it yet, so I don't have very strong opinions, but time will tell if that continues to be true or not. After cutting down that tree and making the simplest tools imaginable, I then made a barrel. Filling it with random plants and shit will slowly generate a block of dirt, which, if you're not aware, is good to have most of the time. Picking up my first dirt allowed me to see the color brown. Wow. Already things were looking a little bit less depressing, and quickly I was realizing how happy I am to not be colorblind. Also, this pack probably wouldn't be very fun for any colorblind people. Just some food for thought on that one. There's a quest book in this mod pack that, after playing GregTech New Horizons, feels incredibly simple, but it is enough to broadly guide the player down a path at the beginning. It suggested eating some dirt and seeing what happens, so I did that. The quest book was a little bit vague in conveying what happened, but I'm not gonna be. When you eat that dirt, you shit out brown dye from your butthole. So essentially all progress in the pack after here is only possible from molding things out of the devil's Play-Doh. Do with that information whatever you want. I'm not your daddy. I don't know. The next color I discovered was white. A very old mechanic of Sky Factory is that trees drop a lot of silkworms. Don't ask me how the fuck they got to the tree in the sky. I don't know. If you place one of those worms on a fully grown tree, they will slowly convert it into string or something. I don't know. It does. It becomes white. I don't know, man. After breaking some of these silkworm-infested leaves, the new color was discovered. A recurring trend from this point on, every time you get a new color, the world will look a lot more tolerable. And I now had string, which is very cool. You can do a lot of stuff with string. Something people might not know about me is that from time to time, I can be a bit of a stinky boy. And with no source of water, I have no way to shower, meaning the stinkiness will linger on. Thankfully, by putting a bunch of leaves and shit into a crucible, not to be confused with a barrel, I was able to make water, thus discovering both the color blue and the rainstorm that quickly followed after it. I've played Sky Factory before and therefore knew that having a lot of water is generally a good idea early on. So while it rained, I scrambled to create a bunch of barrels that would fill up with water from the storm. I initially crafted crucibles instead due to the brainworm that infects my every waking thought, but it didn't take me too long to correct my error. Rocks are pretty cool and were the next thing on my agenda. By making a campfire, I could burn stripped wood, not like a nasty kind of stripped, but like the other way, turning the wood into ash. I'm not really sure how the alchemy works here, but then you could turn that ash into cobblestone by putting it all together, I guess. I don't know, don't ask, I'm just here to play the game. This process discovered the color gray, which is a bit like white or black if it was indecisive. By using another tool, a hammer, I was able to break down my cobblestone into gravel, and by hammering it again into sand. Not super exciting on their own, but when that sand gets placed into a barrel filled with water, it becomes clay, and that is exciting. Clay both unlocks a light blue color and starts me down the path of getting lava. Now I could sort of see the sky for how it was intended, instantly rejuvenating my youthful energy. Then I had to pee, so I did that. Nice. From this point on, the pack kind of stops holding your hand as much, which is fun, but also a bit frustrating to look back on, as I ended up wasting a ton of time not really knowing what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to skip a lot of that, but just know that there were several times where I was a bit aimless. I made a furnace with 8 cobblestone, allowing me to smelt things, which you do in a furnace. The first thing I smelted was a clay crucible so that I could start making lava. The second thing I smelted was a smooth stone block at the insistence of a very enthusiastic chatter. You know who you are. That discovered light gray, which is a bit like gray if it was different. The next thing I really wanted to do was get a cobblestone generator set up so that I could stop using the campfire. I made an infinite water source so I could stop relying on the whimsy of the sky's tears and began filling up my crucible with cobblestone that would eventually change into lava. Again, not sure on the alchemy here. I don't know, man. I didn't have any iron yet, so I used a wooden bucket instead. Fun fact about wooden buckets, if you fill them with lava, that hurt. Ow. Burning badly, not cool. It was quite dramatic when I picked up the lava, and as the screen suddenly had the orange color, the game played a little victory sound effect, and I was lit on fire all at once. Combine that with my confused yelping, and there was officially a lot going on. But on the bright side, I was able to place the lava, and my first rudimentary cobblestone generator was complete. Awesome. I really wanted to automate that cobblestone and chose the Create mod as my tool for doing just that. But to use Create, I needed andesite alloy and iron, both of which are things I didn't know how to get. It would take a few hours for me to realize how to get those things, but before that happened, I investigated mobs for some reason. Mob spawning is very different in this mod pack, so I'll try to explain it quickly. There is no natural mob spawning. Instead, you sometimes get these little gate pearl things, which when you right-click the world with, a portal opens and a number of waves of enemies will spawn. The enemy is determined by what kind of portal you placed, which is random whenever you get the item. The first one I used was a villager portal, so it spawned 3 waves of villagers for me to fight. If you're successful in killing all the dudes, you get a little trophy for that mob, and whenever you place a trophy down, you can then enable or disable spawning for that type of mob. It's a very strange system. It's not really all that complicated, but it took me a while to comprehend. So anyways, there's that. I now had some villagers, at which point I quickly learned I cannot trade with them. I still do not know why, don't ask me, and I also fought some goats. I won, meaning I also had a goat spawner now. And whenever I killed one of those goats, it dropped its meat, which allowed me to discover the color pink. Then I killed some cows, so I had some cows, which are like goats if they were less fluffy, quieter, cuter, and mooed instead of making a stupid fucking goat sound. And that was like an hour or an hour and a half. There was a lot going on, all right. Thankfully, after that point, I eventually decided to investigate what items could be crafted from white dye, which was a dye that I happened to have in abundance. Turns out, you can craft a lot of shit from white dye, including raw iron and andesite. Like, not directly, but you craft them with a different dye that you can get from white dye, so, you know, just bear with me. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of dye crafting in this pack. I started to realize that, being aware of that, and I was actually able to start pursuing my goals once again. Automated cobblestone. Then I had to pee again because at my core, I'm really just a little piss boy. So I went and did that. Fast forward a lot of dye crafting later, and I had the absolute basics for the Create mod. A water wheel for power, some cog wheels for twisting, and a drill. I had my cobblestone set up ready to go, but foolishly built it out of wood. What are you doing, man? Do I really need to explain more? I will anyways, just because there are a lot of stupid people out there, and if you're one of those people that need me to explain more, I'm not calling you stupid. It's someone else that I'm talking about. Don't worry about it. Like the video. So yeah, the whole contraption caught ablaze, causing the water that spun the water wheel to pour down, landing on top of my lava source, converting it to obsidian. Spoilers, not really what I wanted to happen there. Fast forward again, a lot of fast forwarding going on, through some more tree cutting and cobblestone gathering, and voila! Is that French? What does voila really mean? And whatever. The actual automated cobblestone setup was now done. It's not quick, it's not pretty, but it does get the job done. Rocks forever for me, Farley. Yeah. And yeah, that was pretty much session 1 of Sky Factory 5. Seems pretty fun so far, so I plan on continuing. We'll see how far I get. I don't know. Playing it by ear. Alright, yeah, so like the video and sub if you want. You can also watch me play live, either on the channel here or on my Twitch, which has the same username. It's up to you. I don't know. Live your life. Very cool. See you later. Meow.